Hi guys, today we're going to be looking at how to solve inequalities using addition and subtraction. And we've already seen equations, how to do opposites. So if it's adding, we subtract. If it's subtracting, we add, so on, so on. In this case, we're going to be doing those same strategies, but now applying them to inequalities. So let's go ahead and take a look. This is in your notes page handout that I gave to you guys. The first step is to fill in the blanks. So it says, in the last lesson, we wrote and graphed inequalities. In this lesson, we will simplify inequalities using the addition property of inequalities. So go ahead and fill that in. Then it says, recall that the inverse property of addition states that the same value can be added to both sides of an inequality to produce an equivalent inequality. So let's go ahead and start with example 1. In example 1, if you realize we have here r minus 15 is bigger than 12 and they want us to graph it. So just as if this was a regular equation, since it's subtracting, we're going to go ahead and do the opposite, which in this case is adding. So I'm going to add 15 to both sides. So that's going to cancel that minus 15 and I have r. r is going to be bigger than, I'm going to go ahead and add 12 plus 15 and I get 27. Therefore, I am ready to graph that. So we have our number line over here. We're going to put it 27 and it's going to be shaded to the right because we're saying that it's bigger than. And remember that this sign, since it doesn't have that little line underneath, it means that it's bigger than, not equal to. So I am going to have an open circle when I graph this. Let's go ahead and look now at your check. So to check that this answer is right, we're going to plug in a number. So if you notice, the number that they use is the biggest or closest multiple of 10, which in this case is 30. So all they did is they plugged it into the original equation, which is r minus 15 is bigger than 12. So let's plug it in. If we do that, 30 minus 15, it has to be bigger than 12. And we subtract, and if you notice there's a typo there, it should say 15 is still bigger than 12. Is that true? In this case, yes it is. Therefore, I know that I graphed it correctly. I want you to go ahead and pause the video, do the try it, and then continue to see if you got the right answer. Okay, so hopefully you were able to solve this. We added 21 to both sides, and that gave us 114. So now I'm ready to graph this. S is less than or equal to 114. So I go to my number line. I'm going to go ahead and place 114 on the right, and because it has a little line underneath, I'm going to make it a closed circle. So I go ahead and make a closed circle, and now I'm going to go ahead and shade in everything less than 114. So I'm going to go ahead and shade that in, and there I am. Everything to the left is an answer. Okay, let's go ahead and do example 2. In example 2, they're saying to solve 23 plus v is greater than 12, and then graph it. So same thing, we have a positive 23. The only way to get rid of it is to subtract it. So I'm going to subtract from both sides 23. Wait, that cancels and becomes 0. So I'm left with v is greater than negative 11. Now we know that since it doesn't have that line underneath, it's going to be an open circle. So they already started it for me. It's an open circle here, and I think this graph is wrong. I'm going to go ahead and graph over it. Here is my number, negative 11, and I'm going to make an open circle. So I think this is a typo on their part. We're going to graph, oh no, yes, I'm sorry, it is bigger than, scratch that. Here's negative 11, and since v is greater than, we're going to shade everything to the right. So that would look like this, and it was already given to you. So anything to the right of negative 11 would be a solution. Let's go ahead and do our check. Our check says try out a number. In this case, they did 0. So they said, okay, plug in 0, see if it's true. So 23 plus 0 is 23, and 23 is bigger than 12, which is true. Therefore, I know I graphed it correctly. Just like we did in the other one, go ahead and put pause, do the try it yourself, and see if you're able to get the correct answer. Okay, so the correct answer was 8.8, and we got that by doing the opposite of negative 2.4, which is adding 2.4 to both sides, as you can see in my work here. So I ended up with t is bigger than or equal to 8.8. I'm going to go to my number line, set it up as 8.8, and actually I'm going to say that this is 8.0, and I'm going to say that this is 9, and here is more or less where 8.8 would be. And since it's a closed circle, because it has this little line, the line underneath, so we're going to shade everything to the right because it's everything bigger than, so it would look like that. Let's go ahead and finish. We have last example, example 3. Now here's a word problem. The most likely thing that's going to happen on the end of course is you're going to have a word problem. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we would solve this. It says student council has a goal to collect at least 160 blankets for a shelter. The council members brought 107 blankets. Write an inequality to describe how many blankets the student council members must donate on Friday to make or exceed. Now the word exceed means they can get more than that amount. So when we set it up, we say B is the number of blankets, and then we say, so the relationship is the number of blankets from Monday through Thursday plus the number of blankets that they need, so B, has to be greater than or equal to 160 because they want to either meet their goal or go more than that. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and solve. I can subtract 107 from both sides. That cancels that positive 107, and I'm left with B is greater than or equal to 53. So what does that mean? That means that they need to bring at least 53 or more in order to meet their goal. I want you to go ahead and do the try it, put pause, and see if you can get the right answer. So this is the correct inequality that you should have been able to come up with. We have 2,000, which is how much total that they can spend because that's all the money they have. Then we also have the 637, which is the amount that the tickets cost, and then we have this E, which I made it equal everything else. So they can spend 637 plus E, but that has to still be less than or equal to $2,000 because that's the amount of money that they had saved up.